Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. RC here today, and I am here with the beautiful Tracey Gonzalez. And
Hi, everybody.
Tracey owns and runs the Holistic Mystic One-Stop Shop. You can find her on Facebook. And we also do the Holistic Mystic membership group together, which I keep saying is a school. It's not a membership group, it's a school.
It sort of is a school.
It is a school. It needs to be turned into a school because there's so much information in there. But I wanted to bring Tracey on today. And I'm going to use this as a crossover video so we can use it for the Holistic Mystic. We can use it for my podcast series. We just want to share all the information that we have everywhere across all social media because there is so much wisdom and knowledge in this woman and what she does. Her abilities are beyond extraordinary. And I know we all hate this question, Tracey, but can you give the audience a little bit of an idea as to what you do?
Okay, so I am a clairvoyant medium. I am a holistic healer. I'm a spirit surgeon. I distribute Healy quantum frequency devices. I am an energy grid reader. I call myself a truth speaker because truth falls out of my mouth. I have no control over it, which is why I should always come with a warning label. I do counseling. I'm trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness-based counseling, spiritual counseling, crystal healing, crystal grid healing, shamanic healing, and sound therapy. And I think that's about it. And then another life, I was a chef.
And which life was that?
Same lifetime, but a different lifetime of this lifetime.
Okay. Same timeline, just different part of your life.
So yeah, lots of different things. And you know, we've all got so many labels, haven't we? And when you actually sit and think about it, we have probably got more diplomas than we realize that we've got between us. And the irony was I was never a student. I was never, ever a student. I never had any care or any want to get any exams, certificates, degrees, anything else. But I ended up having to, along the way, to get my insurances. And so if you're going to be a practitioner in anything, you need the piece of paper that says you know what you're doing. Exactly. And so I started to study. And the way that we study is through learning. And the way that we learn is through living and experiencing. So we can say that our qualifications are in surviving life so far to this point. And those are our greatest achievements and awards. They really are.
I think our greatest achievements right now are just getting through these energies one moment at a time.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know that I read the energy grids every day, and we have seen these waves changing. And what I love, and I said this to you this morning, you read the astrology, but you're also an energy reader in the same way. But you're doing the astrology readings and you're doing the recordings. I'm doing my recordings on what's coming in with the energy. I'm listening to yours, and it's basically an echo of what I've just said on mine, and you're listening to mine, and it's an echo of what you've said on yours, and we've not even spoken to each other.
Right.
But
how many times have I said, why do we even talk?
Income energies. Yeah, there is that, you know, that lots of us on a collective level. And well, when we decided to open the Holistic Mystic membership group, it was because we saw that need for the cauldron, for the melting pot, to put all of those gorgeous collective energies in, because big things are happening and massive changes are coming in. The world is recalibrating. We are recalibrating. The Earth grid has recalibrated. We've got multiple timelines still active. We had 5 active timelines. We've got 4 active timelines still. And that 5th one, who knows when it could reactivate and start to move again. Yeah. So everyone is being hit almost on a daily or a bi-daily level into a completely different energetic pathway. And so lots of people, me included, 1 second you are there, you are captain of your ship, you are sailing through the seas, The next minute you have fallen overboard, you're on a raft, you are clinging on for dear life, and you are climbing back up as you are bringing the ship back over onto yourself again. And then the next second, we're in the plane, pilot in the plane, and we're above the clouds and everything is good. But it is literally making you feel like it's making lots of people feel displaced. Displaced, like they are walking and observing themselves outside of their body and outside of their own timeline. So I always think, well, maybe I'm just really busy on one of the other timelines at the moment. And I was so deep in conversation over there on that one, I forgot what I was doing in the kitchen on that one. And that's why I burnt the chicken. So there's those moments as well where you have to think, well, actually, we are not seeing the whole picture because that would be impossible.
Right.
We are seers. And clairvoyance literally translates as to see clearly.
Right.
But we're also human. And we are humans.
Now we're not
human.
not seeing everything.
We can't.
We're having moments of clarity is how I would say word it. Moments of clarity. And then we step back and it's like, then we see something else and we're just like everybody else. We're going like this. Okay, what is real and what isn't? It's almost like they're playing games with us right now. And you just have to take it moment by moment, I want to say breath by breath. And everybody that I've spoken to this week has been saying things like, I want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. And I'm thinking, okay, are you suicidal? Like, no, I just don't want to be here anymore. I go, well, what do you mean by here? Because we have, when we have a client, we have a level of responsibility. Okay.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that we have that person in a safe space for their physical body before we walk away from them, before we hang up that phone or we disconnect, the internet, or it just like mine just comes off and on whenever the hell it wants. But we do have a level of responsibility. And that's why, like, if I'm not in the right space, I won't take on. Like, I never expected to be inundated on Monday like I was. And you were inundated as well, I think, on Monday, right?
Yeah.
When it was crazy energy, and it's up and down. It's like,
and you know what, lots of people are going to be feeling that exact phrase. Yeah, they're going to be feeling that exact phrase, I don't want to be here. Mm-hmm. And they don't mean I don't want to be living in my human life, I want to end my life. They mean I don't want to be in this energetic space, feeling what I'm feeling how I'm feeling, being how I'm being, even reacting how I'm acting. Because it doesn't feel like the true us, because we're changing. Yeah. We've gone through so many up levels and so many shifts so quickly that we are completely different versions of ourselves and we can't keep up with us. And so it's like an Alice in Wonderland moment, where somebody is saying, well, how are you this evening? Well, I don't know. When I spoke to you this morning, I've changed a lot since then. Everything is curiouser and curiouser. And so as we turn over the rock, we realize that rock opened up a whole nother portal, and then we see another load of rocks, and then we go through that rabbit hole and we see more rocks. But if we stand on the other edge of that precipice, we see a whole different perspective, and we see it and we understand it because of what we viewed previously. But if we didn't view and see something previously and learn from our own experiences, or what we might have seen as our errors or lessons or mistakes or blessings, I always call my lessons my blessings, right? Because ultimately we are where we are because of the choices we've made, because of the pathways we've taken. But we can't relate to the next thing that we see until we learn from the last thing we saw. And there's a lot of knowledge that is still buried in us all. And we're not on this rodeo for the first time around. This is reawakening. We are remembering. We are being re-triggered. We're being shaken awake by our ankles. And that is where lots of us are going to feel physical discomfort as well at the moment. That's another thing. Is I am seeing people with some really intense bodily pains. And
And
they are
it's
scared. People are really scared because it feels like the human body is actually dying. You know, literally, people are saying to me, I think I'm dying. I think there's something really wrong.
yeah,
It's the recalibration of the body.
a lot of panic and anxiety.
Mm,
I'm having a panic attack. I think I'm going to die. Like, I can't find my inhaler. I'm overwhelmed. I'm this, I'm that. And
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. It's excuse me, one minute. You need this. Thank you.
And so most of us have got
Anti-puppy spray. It's just a water bottle and they get a squirt in the butt.
most of us
they're
who
bad.
are actively involved now in our, not just our circle, but all of the soul circles, all of the soul tribes around the world have experienced some level of discomfort with self along the way.
Right.
And I mean, you know me and you know me on a personal level. I have more than 25 years of anxiety, depression, complex PTSD, health anxiety, connection disorder. Oh my goodness, you like OCD, ADHD. I got all of the ABCs through to Zs, you know, all of it. And then you realize that all of those little things, they're little pieces of your jigsaw puzzle that make you. But it was never my anxiety. And I called it my anxiety, my depression for
Right.
more than 25 years.
So you
I
were
didn't
owning it. You were owning it.
I
So it
didn't
kept
buy
coming
it.
back.
I didn't
Yeah.
choose it. I didn't give birth to it. I didn't create it, but I had adopted it and I was allowing it to live in my head. And I was allowing it to control my life until I didn't anymore because I couldn't stand being in my life anymore. And that was my awakening. That was my I don't want to be here moment. And when I got to that, I realized I had to do things differently. I had to change things. And that was when all of the therapy and all of the years and years of training and bits and bobs that I'd done along the way, I just went, you know what? This is do or die. This is now, or there won't be another chance. I have got to change things in my world. And I did. And I took complete responsibility for my healing because we are all responsible for our own healing. No one else could fix me. And I was looking outside of me for someone to fix me. And that's when I actually said to myself, and I said to my brother, I wish I could find a me to fix me in the same way that I can help other people to fix themselves. I couldn't find anyone. I broke like 16 therapists along the way because when they tried to get inside my head, you can imagine.
I can imagine because I've had people like I can't be hypnotized. There's only two people that can put me under, and you're one of them. And
But we are control freaks. We are control freaks within the self because our inner controller and our inner victim, our inner controller and our inner victim are like this, but they are one. And the damaged self takes on all the damage. And so then you've got the conflict of the victim being angry, but I've been the victim, I allowed this to happen. How could I let this happen? And then that becomes the guilt carrier. And we've got the abuser, the tormentor, the torturer, whose job it is to abuse and torment and torture. Because that's the aspect, that's their job. The same way as inner child, pure child, it is their job to be pure, sparkly child. And so when we embrace all aspects of the self, our inner child, our inner bitch, our inner mother, our inner tormentor, our inner victim, but we actually recognize that they're all us. They're not different personalities, they're different little tiny pieces. Right. And all of them play a part in working together. And that was my sort of eureka moment. And I'm not broken. I'm not broken. I'm not past fixing. I am not unable to be fixed. I just didn't see all of the pieces before. And so that was something that really stuck in my brain. And I went and studied that a lot. I did a lot of research. Then I started to learn about neuroplasticity, and I started learning about different parts of the brain and how the brain responds. And then that took me into learning about cells and hormones and all of the different chemicals. And I'm not what I would describe as a studious or a clever person. I got written off as a bit thick when I was younger and always a bit stupid and whatever else. And I believed it. I firmly believed that I was too stupid to gain understanding through learning. But
carry
we
more in
all
your
got
brain.
that as well. We've all got that little bit of, no, we're not good enough for that. No, we're not meant for that. But it's the honoring of self, and honoring of self means honoring all parts of self. And that is where we take responsibility for healing. Because when we say we are going to be whole again after feeling broken for so much of your life, it's a big change. It takes some adjustment. Because when you wake up and you can't find the anxiety that you've carried for more than 25 years, you actually feel a bit panicked because you can't find your panic.
Right.
Because nothing felt normal. And that's what I love about the healing modalities that I do now, is when I work with the spirit surgery, where you can literally move something that is blocked in somebody's energy and they move it from the person there and then. And I've seen people who have just transformed in that half an hour session and have walked away afterwards going, I don't know what you did, but it's gone. So I didn't do anything, you did. You released it.
Right.
And so they knew in that moment they were safe to release. And that's what lots of us have been called on to do. We have had our light quotients increased significantly, but not because we are meant to be better than anyone. And well, I've seen so many egos, Robbin, over this last few years. The egos that have come and gone and volcanically imploded and exploded and erupted. It is amazing. But we have to learn the lesson of humility, and we have to learn the lesson that no one is above and no one is below. And that is the motto in our group. That's the motto in our membership group, in our inner circle. No one is in a circle, no one is above and no one is below. Everybody is equal.
And nobody falls, because there's always someone on each side of you. If one falls,
no one will ever be broken. No one will ever be broken or feel broken and feel alone with it in that group. Because somebody will be there. Somebody, all they need to do is say, help. I am struggling. And it doesn't mean we're going to try and fix them. It just means that we're going to say, look, go over there to the guide section. There are tools there. Right. Go over there. There is a life jacket in that cupboard there, in that guide section. There is a bottle that will rehydrate your soul there, because what you need is some tones and you need to claim your song. And yeah, lots of different people are coming in with no idea how amazing they are. That's what I love seeing with people. We've got these gorgeous, gorgeous people, and there is not one person in that group that I don't love to pieces. But we see all of their threads that they're bringing in. And when you see somebody for the first time who has been so knocked down and so hidden and so not able to be them, who stands up and talks on a live little video and says, I've claimed me. I just, oh yeah, that's what this is all. All of those years worth it.
It makes you want to cry that they
it does.
That they feel safe. That's one thing about the membership group.
Yeah.
Everyone feels safe. Your privacy is protected. Nothing leaves the group. And everyone's been so mindful and respectful. Like, we've not had one issue.
We haven't had to say to one person about anything.
You know, I don't think you and I have ever really talked about this. I'm not sure, but I don't really believe that anyone is ever really, truly broken. No,
we just feel it. When we don't feel
hard because of outside influences coming in, but we're never really truly broken. We get knocked down, but we always get back up. And,
Yeah.
you know, when people say, I don't want to be here and this and that, and then people's like, I want to go home, but I don't know where home is. There's a lot of that in the energy. Like, I want to go home. I want my mom and dad, and maybe their mom and dad have crossed over. And, you know, there's
And that's that person connecting to their inner child.
exactly.
In that moment, that's the aspect that is the most important. And another thing to remember is that when we feel broken, it can literally be that we have got a piece missing. Because when we've gone through trauma, the soul can fragment, a tiny splinter can fragment. And that happens to prevent the rest of the soul from being damaged.
Right.
And so we don't lose any part of ourselves, but in that moment, we sort of neglect to clean it and bring it back. And so sometimes doing something like a soul retrieval meditation to call back any missing pieces that might have fragmented away can be really useful.
And something else we talked about before too was everybody talks about awakening, you know, like, and Kundalini awakening, and like there's this one great big massive awakening. And I do think that, you know, in the beginning we kind of have this big aha moment, but that's not the only one we have. We have many.
We do that multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, right now I feel like sometimes I'm doing it several times a day even, you know,
Yeah.
because the energy's so accelerated. The conversation we had on Monday, you and I were both like blah 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 blah, blah, like we were so amped up. The both of us were so amped up
And
that
you see, I know when we're both channeling, we
yeah,
end up channeling like monkeys because you don't
oh, yeah,
hear what you are saying. And I think I've said this to you before. I never watch my lives back. And then earlier this year, my guide said to me, "You should listen now." And I said, "What do I need to listen to?" And I sat intensely listening. And they gave me a mirror. And I said, "Well, okay, shadow work, mirror work, reflection work. What do I need to do?" But what they were telling me is I needed to listen to me. I needed to go back onto the live that I've recorded and listen to what I'd said, because I hadn't heard what I was saying as I said it.
right.
And I know that you've had
I
those
don't remember
moments
what we
too,
say.
because you don't. But every single time that we channel information and we pass information through, we are meant to also hold it and hear it and absorb it. But because you work as, I mean, you're a phenomenal medium, you're an amazing clairvoyant, and there's very, very few people that I let read for me. And there would be even fewer that have been able to read for me. But my guides took a liking to you. And
He has
they
a
even
kind of guy
showed
that's really
themselves
handsome.
to you. They even showed themselves to you,
Yeah.
which was such a beautiful comedy moment, but it was truly beautiful because when he said, "I like her, I like her," we could have been something special. On the right timeline, he would have really taken a shine to you. But he
I remember
decided
saying to you,
that,
whoever is standing over your right shoulder is really hot. I remember saying
yeah,
to you.
you did, yeah. And you know, after that, I mean, they decided to make it their task to check in with you. And I mean, they were linking us together with messages and whatever we were going through at the time.
Yeah.
And he decided that he was going to protect you because they decided that we were joined as sisters. And so there was an energetic bond. And you do find that lots of us have found soul families in the last 3 years. Lots of us have. And I definitely found a big sister in you. And we have mirrored and we've gone through our roller coasters. And I don't know how I would have managed if you weren't there over this last 3 years.
Same here.
Because there has been times where you have prevented me from becoming an absolute emotional nervous wreck. And there's been times where you have been the only person that I could talk to, because you were the only person, not just who would listen, but who could understand or who could even begin to relate. And so that divine trust that they threaded together was something incredibly unique. And they did that. And when I worked with you, we did a healing session once. And technology, God bless her, was not our friend. And every single time we tried, they kept showing me they were putting you in this just protective balloon. And they decided they didn't need me to facilitate your healing. They were just going to get you sorted out. And well, that was why so we trust, and we do trust in that way. And you're an amazing teacher, and not just with your astrology, but you have got a wealth of wisdom. You know, when you do your words of wisdom, it is like, and you're a walking encyclopedia. You're a mystic. And the mystic always needs to know the whys, wherefores, how, because what's this with this vibration? What does that mean? What does that tangle into? It must be because it's 42. And you have that sort of way about you where it's a deep inner wisdom, but this is a past life wisdom. So with lots of people now, and we've come into contact with lots of them, they have been here and they've been teachers before. And they have been the master healers before. And that's the mistake that some have made. They've been master healers before, but a master implies you know everything. And in this world, no, we're not God. So we do not know everything.
I always say that. I don't want to say I become somewhat annoyed, but I become somewhat annoyed when someone claims that they know it all. And that to me is that's your first warning sign. When somebody says, I know it all, I can help you. But I always say, if I can't help you, I'll refer you to someone I know can. Because I fully trust you. I know your abilities. I fully trust Suzanne and Leslie. I know your abilities. And there's more people coming in. I've actually recently met someone that I'm quite intrigued with her abilities. And we haven't had an opportunity to really meet up yet because she's traveling. But you're somebody that as well, like I always say, you're my little sister. I have fully trusted you basically from day one, which is something that I never really did with people. And but even before my astrology, I was channeling long before my astrology. And then I started following, I think it was like Pam Gregory, Michael Lennox, and Molly McCord. I love the three of them. And I love each one for a different reason. Like Molly McCord has great podcast. Michael Lennox, I love that he can get it done in 3.5 minutes when I'm not busy. And sometimes I don't even have the focus for 3.5 minutes. And then Pam Gregory, she does like the Quaker belts and the asteroids. Like there was an asteroid called Chaos, which I had never even heard of before after studying astrology. Never heard of it. And that was very active when all the chaos was going on. So, it was one of those really amazing things that I realized that what I was channeling as I was watching these people, they were giving me confirmation at a time when I didn't have the confidence that I have now. Because I know that I still don't know it all. I'm never going to know it all, but I'm going to continue to keep learning and studying, right? We're going to keep growing. But that gave me confirmation in my channeling. And then I just kind of got a little bit,
we get these new sort of
crazy with my astrology when I was learning.
Yeah, you did. You drove me nuts with your astrology when you were learning it. But not because I didn't love it, because I missed Robbin.
Yeah.
I missed just talking to Robbin. I was always talking to Robbin the astrologer because it was all consuming for you, but you needed to be in that space. And in the same way that when I finally accepted the healing, I became so consumed by the healing that every reading I was doing healing within the reading. Yeah. And for 20
I remember when I thought you were I thought you were going to stop your readings because you were so into the healing.
I was so inundated with healings.
How many times did we say we're going to quit? We're not. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I just can't do it anymore. I've heard that all this week too. I just
And
can't
then when I
do it
had
anymore.
moments, then we were fighting with the Home Office to get my husband home, and we were going through all of that. And I said, right, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to read anymore. I'm not going to do any more healings. I'm not doing it. I'm going to sulk like a little brat. And if you're not going to give me even any help with it, then I'll stamp in my feet. I will scream and scream the house down, you know. And it was.
I actually felt sorry for
that.
your attorney. I actually did. I felt sorry for your lawyer. Like I was.
So did I, because I was turning into Kalima on a daily basis. You know, I was turning into a head eating just bleh. But it
one
was,
day I called you Medusa. I'm like, are you okay, Medusa?
I did, yeah. And it was, what head have you got on today, Trace? Which head are you wearing? Am I safe to approach or am I not? And we go through that in the same way that we go through the dark night of
that
soul.
we're human as well. We go through everything that everyone else does. When I say no one's exempt, no one. And anyone
we go through dark night of soul and dark night awakening, and you know, we crawl our way back up through the gun can, through the slippery surface to get back up into the light again, because that's where we find our light, is by being in the dark. And so the shadow self, or like the darkness or the wounded self, can't be honored and can't be worked with unless we know all of the sides of ourselves. And for a long time, I would always say, I'm just a clairvoyant medium. I was comfortable with that because I had it in my head that if I said I was a healer, I had to be the wounded healer. And the health anxiety at that point in my life drove me, well, I don't want to be wounded. I don't want to be ill. And so I can't be a healer because that means I've got to always be wounded. And that was what I brought in with me from another lifetime. And I'd always connected with lights, and I'd always worked with healing. My hands would always turn into fire and my feet would always turn into ice as the energy channeled through.
That happens to me too.
And I did the best part of 20 years working on psychic fairs. And that's where I did all my real training, because you do your training when you're in the thick of it. And so I would leave the house at 9 in the morning. I would start doing readings at 12 o'clock lunchtime, and I would finish at 10 o'clock at night. And that was intense, reading after reading after reading after reading, 3 days a week. Then I would do party bookings. I would go to people's houses. I would work on the phone. I would do this. In the middle, I tried to live, and I tried to find out my normal human things as well. But that was where I did the bulk of my training. And I had a couple of mentors along the way. There was one who I first started with on the psychic fair journey, called Miriam Gifford and Richard Gifford. They were a phenomenal couple. And I used to have readings. I say readings. I had a reading with Miriam a couple of years before, and I was doing readings in pubs and clubs and that kind of thing at the time, but I still had my own little cafe that I rented. And I'd got bullied by the landlord, and he tried to put me in a corner, which was never going to go well. And so I decided to close the whole place down, sell all the fixtures and fittings, and put newspaper all over the window within the fortnight, because he told me I had a fortnight to decide. So my decision was made, and I gave him his key. And I literally collapsed the business, folded it up, said so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. And I went for a reading and got thrown into, you're going to do a demonstration of clairvoyance for the 50 people that are sitting there. No, I'm here for a reading. And her husband, who was a fantastic shamanic healer, I've never seen anything like it in my life. He would reach into someone's energy, pull it out. They would scream and writhe in pain, but it was gone. And he said, so I'm just going to introduce you to Tracey. She's one of your own. She's a local girl. And I just got up like a deer in the headlights and stood in front of everybody, and I opened my mouth and started channeling. And then I started traveling with them the next week, 3 days a week. That was my interview. It turns out that was my job interview.
Wow.
So they threw me into
a hell of an interview.
It really was. And she taught me how to really channel and how to go into the energy so that I could maintain. Because doing a 20-minute reading in a charity event or something like that is very different to doing a life path reading where you need to hold an hour and a half focus with somebody.
Right.
And so we would train, and I say train, we would do psychic fairs that were attached to nightclubs. And we would have all the noise from the bass and the music, and you had to focus. And we would be there, and some of the conditions we worked in were horrific, but we were a dysfunctional little family. We really were. And she was like the mom, and then he was like the dad, and we had the cranky auntie and the mad cousin and the Welsh witches and somebody who read bums. Can you believe that? They actually read bums. They read asses. And so never met anybody else who reads bums in my life, but her name was Psychic Sue. She was an absolute brilliant. She was a legend. I loved her to pieces. She was my mad auntie.
You said,
And then
you said bums, like
bums.
rear ends, right?
As in asses.
Okay, because at first I thought you said bonds.
Oh, no. Your bum, as in your ass, your backside. So she would literally get somebody to drop their pants and she would read their bums. She would read the creases in their bums. And she was so accurate with it. That woman was the world famous bum reader. You can Google her, Psychic Sue bum reader, and she will come up.
I have never heard of such a Psychic Sue.
Nor did I, but she was absolutely amazing. And I loved that woman. And I met lots of these big characters. And I worked a lot in Wales as well, which is a Celtic area. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. And you sort of met lots of people. And through them, that was a different journey path in my life because I met my then ex-husband. And I remember I met him and there was a safety. And I'd come out of a lot of very traumatic things and relationships. And so we had to do a journey together, which I knew wasn't meant to ever be forever. But I married him so I didn't upset people because I was an idiot. So that was another part of the journey. And then we came apart. And Miriam at the time, she told me, you're only meant to be together for 3 years to learn what you need to learn. And then you're meant to move forwards, but you probably won't because you're you and you're too soft. And she told me that back before everything. Anyway, I then left things we went one way and another like you do. You always end up parting company with those kinds of situations after a while. Then I met another larger than life character called Grandfather Michael. And he was my next organizer. So his psychic fair was a whole different dynamic. It was it was very mature. It was very serious. It was very grown up. It was very expensive. And so that put me into a very different consciousness because I suddenly had to pay out a lot of money to even be there at his events. And he said, can you hold your own? And I said, well, do you mean, can I be mouthy? Yeah. He said, well, yeah, that too. But he said, sometimes we try and hold it, but he said, you will encounter some bitchy witches and bitchy witches and witchy bitches. And oh my God, there was fireballs flowing across the room some days. But it was very intense in a different way. And I would go and set my board up. And then I went on to some different events and they would try, do you know what? I know you've come across situations like this. I came onto a Mind, Body, Spirit event called Reiki Sounds. I will out them because, yeah, well, they deserve it. Basically, she would always try and sit me behind a pillar. She'd always try and put...
Is your
she would always...
on?
Oh, it's fine. It's all done. I'm a truth speaker. That's the problem.
We're broadcasters. That's the problem. We can't help but broadcast.
And I don't think they're even running. I don't think they're running anymore. But they'd put me behind a pillar every time to try and sort of hide me to put their favourites up. Well, I would always pre-book my clients if they knew I was going to be in the area. So I would be working all day. And then I had the other people go on, this is the Tracey show, blah, 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 blah. And I ended up not making friends in that way because when when people are jealous, it's a horrible energy. But if somebody else was busy, I'm like a cheerleader. I go, yeah, you're really busy. I'm really happy to see somebody else succeed. And so at the time I smoked and I'd gone outside for a cigarette, and one of these women who'd been particularly bitchy was outside at the same time. And I said, needed to ask you something. When you were talking really horrible about me earlier on, did you think I couldn't hear you? And she went scarlet. She literally went like beetroot red. And I said, it's okay if you were, because while you're being horrible to me, you're leaving somebody else alone. And I love you for it.
Good for
And
you.
that was the last event that I did with them, because they told me I wasn't welcome back after that. And so our energies are acquired tastes. Because if
Not for
somebody is
everybody.
not in, no, if somebody is not in truth mode, we will not resonate with them. If somebody is in,
That's Sunny talking.
this is Anna.
Anna,
Come
okay.
on, come and join in.
Come on,
This
baby
is
girl.
Anna Gonzalez, the diva,
Baby
who
girl.
is getting jealous because mummy is dedicating time to something other than her for a few minutes. And so she is Princess Diva Extraordinaire.
I thought it was Sunny giving the paw of
No,
truth.
no, it's usually Sunny that's doing the paw of truth and everything else. But yeah, this is where we sort of got reputations along the way. We all do. And I have a reputation, I guess, professionally, where you might not like me when you first have a reading with me, because I will be completely honest with you. And so if you're being a bit of an idiot with some of the things that you're doing, I will probably say to you in a nice way, you're being a bit of an idiot with some of the things that you're doing.
Well, when I met you, that's what I liked about you, because that's how I am.
Exactly. That is how I knew that I could respect you professionally.
Whatever shit comes up, just tell me. Don't candy coat it, because you can dip shit in chocolate, but when you bite into it, it still tastes like shit. So just
Absolutely.
give it to me. Just get, and I'm very straightforward. I always say I'm not for everyone. I fully admit I'm not for everyone, but I will always still try to assist, even if it's just referring. And I usually refer them to you, because you have a little bit of a kinder, I don't want to say a kinder approach. It's just a different, you just come at it from a different angle, where
we all have different
like
ways.
you could say fuck off sweeter than I can. That's basically what it is.
I can do it while I've got a smile on my face, offering them a cup of tea.
Yeah.
At the same time.
And I just basically go, listen, you want the truth or you don't, because if you don't want the truth, you don't want me, and I'm not going to take your money. Period.
I mean, when we start our professional journeys with all of this, I, like everybody else, went through the little bit of no one likes me, they put me in the corner. And then I really fast realized that it was only the people who didn't have any confidence in themselves or in the way that they were working, or they would be what I call the weekend warriors. They hadn't committed to doing that work full time. So they still worked in banks or in offices or shops or whatever during the week. And they did it for fun at the weekend and wanted to show how amazing they were. And they were amazing if they weren't in ego.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but we cannot heal from a place of ego.
No.
Because the second we do that, we're not channeling.
No.
Because intuition, what we channel, comes in from the crown and the brow. We intuit, we interpret, we pass information. When we attach judgment, or when we attach I'm better than anyone, or I can't be wrong, I've seen readers who work with an I can't be wrong energy. And it's cringeworthy to look at and go, oh, no. And they've got the person's guide standing with them going, it's not what I'm saying. But they're not interpreting. And I've seen a lot of that over the time. I really have. Because I would never call somebody out on that unless I saw a client being damaged. And then in which case, I would then at times on those events say to the client, I'll clear it for you if you need it.
Right.
Because I saw the damage that had been done. And so, you know, things are very easy to misinterpret as well, which is why in a reading, we could see, for example, somebody that has lost a really important male energy in spirit world with them. But unless we are really looking and really connecting, we can misinterpret. And so one of those big lessons for me was I was working with a phenomenally good medium. She was one of the best mediums I'd ever worked with. The lady's dad was terminally ill. He was dying in hospital as she was there. And she told the woman her dad was in spirit. And so obviously, huge breakdown. We immediately gathered around her and gave her healing. But what she had seen was the woman's elderly horse, who had been with her since she'd been a child, was in spirit world looking after her and also checking in with her dad. And he was letting her know, the horse was letting her know, which might sound mad to some people, but horses, dogs, cats give messages. The horse was letting her know that her dad was about to go, but it's okay because he was going to be there for him. But she got so caught up in the I'm right of the message, she forgot to actually hear what the message was. And that, as an observer, gave me a massive lesson. And so I trust exactly what spirit give me. Right. And I've used this example when I've spoke before. I had a great big man who worked at a garden centre who came to sit with me at an event once. And all I saw was Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz and the red glittery shoes. And he sat down and I thought, oh my God, he's going to rip me apart. I'm going to talk absolute rubbish. This makes no sense whatsoever.
I know this story. You told me this
story.
Yeah.
And I said to him, okay, I can't say anything to you until I get these red shoes out of the way. And this man just burst into tears. And he was about to go through a transgender operation that week. And this was years back now. And part of his coming out outfit was the glittery red shoes and a red dress that he's bought. So he was going to look like $1 million. And spirit told him he was going to look like $1 million. That gave him the blessing from his dad in spirit. That was all he needed to know. He didn't want the rest of the reading. That's all he got, what he came for in that moment. And so never discount anything that spirit gives us. That was the message. That was what I learned that day.
Yes. And sometimes we get the weirdest things. Like I remember once I did it kept showing me a horse and wagon, like an old fashioned horse and wagon from like a Wild West movie, right? From a Western. And I said to the woman, I said, I really don't know what to make of this. I said, but I have to tell you what they're giving me. And when I told her, she broke down crying. She was getting ready to
everything to her.
She was getting ready to move. She had been thinking about her father who had passed, and a story that her father told her about how her grandfather or she was an elderly woman, so it could have been her grandfather or her great-grandfather. I don't remember how they moved, how they packed the wagon and moved from the eastern coast of the United States to California, which, you know,
wow,
years ago before there was transportation. That was a journey. Like that was a journey.
That would have been one hell of a journey, wouldn't it?
Right. And to her, it meant everything. To me, I'm thinking, oh my God, what the fuck are they giving me a horse and wagon? What am I going to do with this? I don't know what to tell this. Like,
but those are our lessons in trust.
Exactly. So now just whatever, like, I don't even stop and think. It's just, that's what I remember the other day saying to you, Trace, take a breath. And I knew you couldn't. I was the same.
You literally can't.
I was the same way. I was like, and then my energy had started to level off and you were still going. And I'm like, take it, Trace. Cause I know, like,
take a spiritual Xanax.
No, I know you don't hear me. I know that, like, what people need to understand is when we're in that space,
you're not hearing anything.
Bomb could be going off behind us. We don't know it. We don't know it. And when we're done half the time, unless we go back and watch it, We don't even know what we've said. Apparently, I
Absolutely.
sent 3 messages to someone I didn't remember sending messages to on Monday. And I got a big thank you on Tuesday morning. And I'm like, well, why is she
I
messaging?
think it was Monday. I got like a 6-minute message from you and I hadn't listened to it. And then I got a message a little bit later saying, I have no idea what I said on that 6-minute message. So I'm going to have to listen to it myself. It's like,
Didn't I
yeah.
tell you? Didn't I tell you? I don't know what the hell I said. Don't listen to it. It's probably makes no sense.
But you know what?
I
The
don't
beautiful
remember.
thing is with that is because we are uninterrupted when we're in flow. I do a lot of my work. I do probably 98% of my work now online. My work used to be 98% face to face, and then the other 2% was on the phone or online. But in COVID times, I switched it to doing it all online. And I realized that no one lost anything from any of the sessions doing it this way. If anything, they gained it.
Yeah, that's what
Because
I'm gonna
when
say.
they were sitting in my house, or if I was in an event, or if I was in their living room, all of the distractions and the other things and the other sounds and the other worldly things or animals in the room or whatever else were there taking their focus. When we are talking like this, I'm looking in your face, into your eyes, and you're looking into mine. We are completely focused on our conversation.
Right.
And so if I was looking for you, if I was doing a reading for you now, first I always look at everyone's aura. And so that's the other thing I do. I'm fascinated by auras. I used to always think people just had lights around them. So your aura, by the way, today is glowing with blue and pink and green and yellow. You're like a bit like a lit up rainbow.
I was
But
gonna wait till we were off.
you're surrounded by white. So you're in white light. And that means that you're surrounded by your guides. So you're always surrounded by your guides because you're never switched off.
And I actually
And
really feel them today. And do you remember when I
yeah,
said to you a while back? I think it was like I could see other people's auras, but I couldn't see my own. And it was I
yeah.
forget which moon it was. And I said to you, this is what it's about. It's about seeing our own light. And when I went back and I watched it, I had to edit something out of it. It was someone I was interviewing? I don't remember, but anyway, I knew something. I wanted to edit something out. And then when I was watching it, I actually was like, kind of like,
You did, yeah, I remember you
what is
saw your
that?
light.
It was the first time I saw my own aura,
Yeah.
even though I could see everybody. I could be in a room full of people. I could see everybody's aura, but I could never see my own. Like today, I see it like almost beyond my screen. That's what I see. And I see white and pink and like a little bit of golden light in there today. I don't see the blue that you see, which I find interesting. I wonder if it's something with the camera lens.
But that could be as well because you're in the communication channel. So you're not going to see that external energy
Yeah. Yeah.
because your blue is connected to your etheric template and your etheric template is connected to the throat chakra expression and communication.
Yeah.
And so if you think about the templates, they don't run like the clouds in the aura like the other places do. They're like really thin threads, like glittery threads. And so each one of those is beautifully connected and crossed and woven into all of the other different parts. So on a real either beautiful healing day or an explosive killing spree day, whichever mood might take us, we can expand our aura like 30 feet outwards if we're in that space to do it, and upwards and root it downwards in a really, really distressed or traumatized or wounded space. We can pull it in so thinly that we can barely see our energy field around us.
Mm-hmm.
And usually if someone's really ill, they've got a very, very weak energy field.
Right. Right.
But yeah, they are glowing. They are really glowing. And do you know, it's funny. I think it was around the time of the Scorpio full moon. That was when all of that came up.
Yeah.
And same week that you saw that, I was doing a live and I couldn't see myself on the camera. I suddenly realized I couldn't see myself on the camera.
I remember that. And I remember I'm like, you're there. I see you. You're fine.
Yeah. And I thought, what's going on? Something wrong with the screen. And it wasn't, it was the energy and it was my aura that was just so visible in that moment.
Yeah.
And then I'd connected with one of the healing energies, and it was an angelic energy. And all of a sudden, this sort of great big wing shape just came in front of me, and I couldn't see anything. And it was like blinded by the light, literally being blinded by the light. I couldn't see
Just
anything. I
glittering.
didn't need to.
You were this glittering golden form.
And that's exactly as they appear when we're doing healing work. And, you know, when we're doing the healings, and a couple of clients have screenshotted if they've been in the room with somebody else receiving, and I've seen the being standing over the person, which has been really beautiful confirmation. I think you screenshotted where the light was in the hands because they were moving light through. You're probably the only person who could receive healing and screenshot at the same time, to be absolutely fair.
I don't know why I had opened my eyes, because I usually keep my eyes closed. I'd opened my eyes and I was like, oh my God. And I just grabbed my phone and
That's
took
the way that they channel that healing through us as instruments.
see the energy coming off of your hand. I think I shared that not long. Didn't I send it to you, or you?
I think you did, yeah. And you know, we forget sometimes
amazing.
We're practitioners, but we're barometers. We read the energy, we gauge the energy. We're barometers before we even look.
Yeah.
As transmitters, we are receivers because we can't transmit without receiving. And so when it is coming through, it literally is coming through.
Right. Like the other day, I did my daily dose of wisdom. I didn't even look at the astrology. And I actually said on the video, I didn't even look at the astrology, but this, and this. And I just said to someone that I was walking with, I said, be careful today. I said, you know, Uranus is active, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, an ambulance goes by, paramedics go by, and there's a senior housing up the street from where I'm living now. And here comes the helicopter. Somebody's being medevaced out. And then literally turn around walking back and hear crash. There's a car accident. And I'm like, please, let me just go home. Let me go home. Don't touch a knife. Don't play with scissors. Like, I was afraid to open boxes. I'm like, let me find some boxes. Don't need to be cut open. Like,
now I am wondering,
cut my finger that day.
I think it's the same day. I'd done a TikTok video or a video on Facebook, and I'd given something in that energy report about everything being a bit lapsy daisy and a bit mishap potential, and you could trip over your own feet because your energy was all out. And then you told me that
yeah,
no need to speak to each other then as normal. We can just sort of get where the energies are at.
Half of our
we're seeing all of that.
Why do we even talk to each other? Because we're just like, you'll leave a message, and when I get something,
you'll leave exactly the same one for me.
Yeah, like I'll be like, well, let me send this to her before I forget it, and then go back and listen to her message, and then I go back and listen to your message, and then I'm like, why didn't I just listen to your message first? Because you just said the same thing that I just sent to you, so don't listen to my message. Like it's there's just this undeniable proof. There are times that I don't get how people don't get it, but then again, I remember when I didn't get it.
I'm exactly the same. It's like
everything
it's staring you in the face.
And it's so that everything is so connected. Like, here I am, my poor father had to hire a tutor because I hated math. I never liked math. And I do this numerology and the astrology, and I was channeling long before that.
And she's an alchemist and works with sacred geometry and the angles and the percentages.
Like the thing about the other day when you and I were on the Holistic Mystic membership group, when you shared, like, and I found this one
right here. I drew out the code that had been shown to me, and then you go and pull out something so similar,
right?
Because this had been brought in through a meditation in through my third eye.
Well, let me ask you a question, because when I first, I actually did one of these months ago, before I moved. Okay, like I don't know if it was around. It was before Christmas. It might have even been like last fall or summer.
Because I thought originally this was a crystal grid that I was meant to do.
I thought it
And
was,
then I
I
realized
thought it was the sea
a
virus.
code.
I'm like, why are they giving me a freaking picture of the virus? Like, and then it all came to, like, now it's come together for me. But it was kind
Yeah.
of like two different, and look, I'm so organized, right? Because when you're channeling, you just grab whatever's, like, I've written on toilet paper, napkins, paper towels, you name it, anything,
Same.
and like,
Yeah, I'm
when they give it to
exactly
you-
the same.
when they give
I
it to
could put out a
you,
whole bunch of papers there, and I've drawn out. Well, you told me I drew out something from an astrology thing. It didn't mean anything to me at all.
actually drew the finger of God, and she knows
That was
nothing
it.
about astrology. She drew the finger of God
Yeah.
right before that astrological event occurred, which is also referred to as the tail of the dragon. It's part of the Taurus constellation.
I
And
sat out
I'm
there on the
looking at her and I'm like,
just drawing.
you know what you just did? And she goes, no. She goes, I don't understand. Can you? She goes, does this make any sense to you? Like, she's real ditzy do. I want to call her ditzy do sometimes. She's like, real ditzy do. Like, do you like, I don't know, does this mean anything to you? And I'm just like, hello. Yeah, you're a fucking Einstein. You just drew the finger of God and you know nothing about astrology, but yet she channels the shit every day.
And then it turns out that I drew two birth charts together that overlapped to bring them together. I did not know that either. So that for me was an interesting one because I have an astrologer guide that works with me.
The
And
complete
so when I'm doing someone's reading, I
reflection.
talk about it, it's them.
The complete mirror reflection of her own birth chart she drew without even knowing it. I said, let me see that. And I pulled up that person's birth chart because it was someone that I had known, that I had done their chart. And I'm like, yeah, this is so-and-so's chart. Yeah, I think you got your shit together. Like, I was in all of that. Like I wish I had an astrology guide.
In that case, you can say I'm a bit lazy
because
you
now I don't even look
a lot of work in.
I know it. I
Yeah.
just feel it. It just comes through now. I don't have to look at it the same way that I did before. Like now,
But it's like with any language, isn't it? When I first started to learn Spanish, I would always have to look at my notepad. I would always have to look at my notes, at the words. Now I can get on to Facebook or TikTok and I can do a broadcast in Spanish. But before, even if I wanted to say a sentence, when we first start learning a language, we're absorbing it into our brains. It's not there. It's not organic yet. But when it's absorbed, we can learn when we're open in that, with the context of light workers being open, we absorb really, really quickly. And it could be that it falls into the back of the filing cabinet and you think about it or use it. Or if someone says, do you know about this? And we go, no. But then the second that we need it, our guides bring it forwards from that filing cabinet somewhere and it's there and it comes out. And that's exactly how it's working. Do you know what Ernesto said to me the day? Ernesto is my husband, for anyone who doesn't know. He's also my Spanish teacher who is responsible for teaching me language. He's amazing.
Which is why I get half of my messages in Spanglish now.
You do get Spanglish messages. I must admit you do. And I mean, he said to me, how is it that you can, because we read every day. We read extracts from books or something every day. He reads in English, I read in Spanish to perfect our pronunciation. And he said, I don't get how it is possible that you can read fluently in Spanish with words we have not yet learned. And he's just said, okay, show me translating. And so I said, okay, and why not? So I started off with a little short story and I read it in Spanish and then I translated it into English and I translated the whole story. And it's like, but if you asked me, what did that mean? I go, I don't know. But I could translate it because I was in flow when I was reading it. And so in that moment, it's a different form of channeling. And so the information was being absorbed into me because I have a guide who speaks in Spanish. I also have a guide who speaks in Indian. So I don't know a single word of Punjabi or Gujarati, but I've worked with people who have needed that translation and they've brought that through in healing. And so in a way, it's a little bit like working with a cheat manual, I suppose, but it's not a conscious cheat.
She,
It comes through as it needs to come through.
right.
In the same way as a song, I mean, you know that they torture me with songs. I get songs playing in my head, and then I torture everybody else by singing at you. And I will tell you, okay, this song, what's it mean to you? What's this song? And there's been a few times where looking back in hindsight, you've gone, that's what they were talking about. Now we know for definite. And so, yeah, those moments, I do love it when they do that, bless their hearts. But with what we do, we're not immune from normal, everyday human emotions and things and circles and things going on. Yesterday, I got hit by the waves. And every time I tried to stand up, I kept on getting knocked down again. And I ended up bawling. And I was in an absolute heap. I'd watched a soap opera that I watch here, EastEnders, and they'd had one of the characters' funerals, and that made me upset because I loved her. And then I remembered having to leave Ernesto at the airport, and that brought all that back. And I had a moment of it's so unfair and felt sorry for myself because I've fought for 2.5 years to bring him home, and we're at the end of the fight, but it's exhausting. It's been a long battle. I'm battle weary. And there are times where on a human level, it's a lot.
Right.
And the only way that I manage that is to work. And so when I'm working, when I'm channeling, when I'm doing whatever else, I am managing to turn, convert, transmutate all of that energy into something good, into something productive. And so that is why, again, in the same way, when we're in pain, of course, we get physical pains. We're human. We have human bodies. We have things that go wrong with us. But when we need fixing to do a session or a reading or a healing, then they give us everything that we need to get through it. The second that we're finished, we get the pain back again. And that was part of my reason for sulking with them.
The amazing thing is that we surprise ourselves because they're there supporting us, and it's like sometimes come out and I'm like, where'd that come from? I didn't even know I knew that. But with the energy being so accelerated and the downloads that have been coming in, I keep saying that, like, it's almost like we're using so much energy trying to maintain our physical body that, and our brain really hasn't had time to integrate. But when it's just like you said, it's like pulling, like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. I can just look at the chart, and I might look at it, like, I think like the last time I looked at it was like maybe last Friday. Okay. Certain things will stand out to me. I'm like, okay, I got that, whatever. Then the next day I forget it. And then I go on and I make a video, and all of a sudden it's just like, it's all in front of me. It's just like I can see a screen in front of me without going on and looking or whatever. It's just given to me. And people don't really understand that. And if I had to explain it to somebody, I don't understand it either. All I know is what I'm given, just like you. Like, we don't.
You just know what you know when you're meant to know it.
And
the other thing is as well,
patience, to learn the patience to, because we want to know. We're excited.
yeah.
We're human. We're just like everybody else. Everybody wants to know, wants to know. Of course, sometimes I don't want to know, but
You still
but they
remember when we're in that accelerated mode, we burn fuel like nitrous. We literally burn through fuel like it is nothing. So if any of you have been feeling absolutely ravenous, or who have just been, you can finish your drink and you feel thirsty. You can eat what you've got. And even if, I mean, I'm not a big eater at a time, I get overfaced with big meals. I'm a grazer. I like little things. I'm a snacker.
Right.
But I'll eat, and then I don't want what I'm eating because I'm just not wanting to eat it, even when it's something that I want. But then I'm hungry.
Or
so I force myself to eat
you don't really like. Like, I had cravings for some stuff that I don't even like. And then, like, on Monday night, because Monday we used up so much energy on Monday, and it was late, and I remember leaving a message for you. I'm so glad you're sleeping, because here we go. Here comes round 2.
Yeah.
I had like a half a pound of leftover tortellini in the fridge, and I was home alone, and I was like, And I don't really eat that because it bothers my stomach, right?
Yeah.
I ate every bite of that. I actually ate so much that the next morning I still felt sick. I could still feel like all that pasta sitting in my stomach. And I'm like, why did I do that? It wasn't gluten free. Now I'm all bloated. And I couldn't stop eating. I was just like, I was like,
Yeah, I did that with a jacket potato the other day. And I have a weird thing where my body can't process potatoes because I get sleepy. If I eat more than that much potato, I start to comatose.
And you know me, I'm
And
not a big eater. Like I'm like you, I graze, I
but
pick up.
I couldn't stop eating this potato, and I could feel my eyelids getting heavy on me, but I was still eating this bloody potato. And afterwards, my energy was up. I couldn't believe it. I'd burnt the fuel off so quickly. And I mean, I am.
What is it? Potassium in them? Potassium?
Yeah, it's got to
Yeah.
be, but it's the starches. I can't normally break it down.
Yeah.
And for a long time, when I was really ill, I couldn't eat fruit, and I missed fruit a lot. But my body couldn't process any of it. I just couldn't eat it. And the other day, it's like, what do I need to eat? What do I want to eat? What do I want to eat? So for dinner, I had 2 mangoes and about half a pound of grapes. And that was, I was going to eat half a mango chopped, and then I ate the rest, and then I ate another one. And then I was talking to you at a time, I can't stop eating grapes. I was putting one in after the other in my mouth. Then I ate an orange, because oranges for me are like, that was my trophy of having got myself well, because I couldn't eat an orange before.
Yeah.
The same as I couldn't eat a tomato for about 4 years. But when I got well through using my Healy device and through doing the healing work, I could eat those things. So they were like massive celebration things that I ate. And I had about 3 days where all I wanted to do was eat fruit. And I mean, it was hot. We did have, hot weather as well. So when it's hot, usually I eat light. I eat fruit, salad, that kind of thing. But yeah, I just couldn't stop eating fruit. And the more I was eating, the more I wanted to eat. And so, oh my God, I feel like some kind of addict at the moment. But at least it wasn't chocolate. It could have been worse. It could have been chocolate or something really sickly that I was eating. But yeah, it was absolutely crazy. It really was. So we're seeing that. But what we're burning off, and we are burning a lot of fuel off when we're in high frequency.
Like nitrous. Yeah.
It is. So even people that usually would sleep through the night are saying just now they're getting to like 3 a.m, they still can't go to sleep. People that don't usually sleep for more than a couple of hours are needing to sleep for 7 hours.
Yeah.
It's a complete swing in the energy system. And yeah, it's a lot to adjust to. It really is. And then as soon as we adjust to it, all of the energy starts to shift and change again, and we go back into reverse. And so we can't keep up with ourselves in the right way. And that's leaving a lot of people feeling fragmented and snappy. It's leaving a lot of devastation because people are going at each other. They are communicating, but they're not communicating and hearing each other. They are talking at each other
Without
but they're not hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And we always say 2 ears, 1 mouth. And so when we talk to each other, and it's ever so easy to talk over each other online, it really is, because we sometimes get a delay with a couple of seconds or anything. But I'm really conscious that, sometimes we don't hear when the other one is still speaking, but we are super conscious of it. So we take care not to do that. But there are sometimes, even with a client session, I can be working with a client and I am trying to tell them what their reading is, and they're talking over me. And they're asking me a question about what I'm trying to tell them. It's like, your ears are not working. Because literally, I have just said that exact sentence to you. And so I'll tell you again, because I can't change what is there in your reading. I will never try to change anything. What's there is there. And so if you see there's, this is happening and someone says, no, okay, I'll leave it with you. I mean, I record my sessions because I've always recorded them. Not just because I'll stand by what I've said in the reading, but because when you are hearing your reading, you're listening for certain keys. There's certain things that your mind is open to hearing, but the rest of it goes blah, 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 into the background. And most of the time, it's the bits that go blah, 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 into the background that are the most significant, important things that we're not listening to in that moment. And it's not until afterwards that you listen back and go, that's what they meant by that. They were talking about that. And so I always record it. And I say, look, if it doesn't make sense at the moment, listen back to it 3 months, 6 months, or a year, because I will never change anything that spirit give.
Right.
In a healing, I will never, ever say to someone, I can fix them.
Right.
I don't fix anybody. I am just an instrument that the light beings work through, that the angels connect to. I channel light, and all healing comes from God. And so some people will say it's from source or creator or whatever else. I use the term God because I'm comfortable with God. All light comes from that. The want to see somebody well is where the flow begins. And so what you need more than anything is an open heart to see that person who is sitting in front of you be well. That is what begins the channel. It's what opens the healing. If you've got somebody who cannot care less whether somebody sitting in front of them receives what they need to receive, they could be the best healer in the world. In that moment, they're going to be the worst. Because you cannot ever say, I do this. And I mean, you've told me before, no, this was you. And it's like, no, this was them. Because I can only ever give what they give to me.
Right.
I can only ever channel what they channel to me. I can only ever pass healing through that they pass through me. And so there's, I guess there's a little bit of a lack of self-belief that lots of us have in that way, because as the instruments, as the facilitators, as the practitioners, we don't really ever go, oh yeah, we're good at that. Because we constantly are, we're just the instruments. And of course, we have to have the knowledge. We have to be in control of our vessels in that moment. Our body is the vessel. And our words are the energy. And so if you look at songs at healing tones, and I work a lot with healing tones and chakra tones, and the sound will be felt somewhere in the body. And if we are open to hearing earth sounds, if we're open to hearing earth music or spirit sounds, we can hear it like a really super high frequency, like a up in the head. Or we can feel it buzzing through the body, like we're sitting on something vibrating at the back of us, and you'll suddenly feel that in your knee or up in your stomach or in your throat. And how many times have you thought, well, what's caused that? You'll have a twitchy eye, or you'll have a sudden little random pain in your elbow. And it's all energy moving through the body. That's what we're
all of a sudden I'm starting to itch here, here, now my arm, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And
like,
you know, if you think about that, your skin is your biggest
I wanna
organ
say,
in your body.
who on the feminine, just like a feminine energy, but like as you were saying that, it's kind of like she's got it kind of thing. Like, and I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute, I have a man over here and I got a woman over here. Like,
and this is the other thing that we're all finding, you know, we can have just a chat and we're starting to channel. And
I don't want to say we don't want to, but it's like, this isn't really a convenient time, you know, like,
yeah.
Can you wait till we're done? No.
Absolutely. When you're shopping in Tesco's and you're at the checkout and
or you're going to scratch your arm off.
Jones, you want to tell Mrs. Jones he got there safely. And, you know, that is a part, there's a lot of what I call leaky mediums. And leaky mediums can be more damaging than helpful. Because just because spirit want to tell somebody a message doesn't mean that person is emotionally, mentally, or energetically ready to hear that message.
That's right.
And it's not our right to pass something into someone else's information field or psyche that they're not ready for.
Right.
And when we first become active in this, we want to pass all the messages that we ever get. And we know that it can bring someone peace and it can bring someone healing, but sometimes it doesn't. And so we have to know the boundaries. And we were talking earlier on about boundaries. You know, one of my absolute favorite words is no.
No, period.
So, no,
Right.
period. No is the sentence. No is the conversation. No is the answer. No can even be the question and the answer at the same time. I love the word. And at one point in time, I was really uncomfortable with saying that word. One of the smallest words that we have in our dictionary, but one of the most powerful. And unless we can say no, we have no boundaries. We become limitless, but we come limitless to the point where we end up feeling so limited with what we have left that we have nothing to give.
Yeah, we become depleted.
Absolutely. And when we're depleted, we do not operate on all cylinders. We go into a survival mode. So we can get through the day with a finite amount of energy, and we can still function to do the basic human tasks. We can still live, survive, blink our eyes, breathe, poo, pee, eat, whatever else. But we are not going to be firing up in the way that the energy needs to be fired up.
Right.
And so, you know, you'll see somebody, for example, they've got a big thing planned. They have got a family gathering planned. They've got, I don't know, a surgery planned, or they've got a whatever plan. They have got a company thing to organize. All of a sudden, even though in spite of the fact everyone knows that they've got all of that on their shoulders, everybody decides that is when they're going to dump on that person. Not in a bad way, not in a horrible or a thoughtless way. It's the lack of thought. So it's not thoughtless, it's just without thought. And that can be enough to push you into complete depletion. Unless you say no. So we need to say no. We need to
You sing
practice.
that. No.
No, no, thank you. No, thanks. And you know, we do it, and well, you have got the prime example there. You've got two babies, and we say a lot of no's when our kids are little, when they're about to touch the electricity socket, no. When they're about to pour the hot coffee, no. When they say, can I have this for the 87th time? No. So we get used to saying no, but we need to also tell ourselves yes. We need to give ourselves permission.
True.
Because we get so caught up in what we have to do, what we are doing, what we need to do, what other people need to be done. We forget that we need to say to ourselves, yes, I will give you that. I will sit with my feet in some salt water with rose oil. I will do my hair. I will file my nails that I haven't done for the last 15 days because I haven't got round to sitting with my nail file. I will paint my toenails that are chipped and looking really horrible, but I haven't got round to doing it because I've had everything else as a priority. So we need to give ourselves permission, because permission allows the healing to flow in, which allows us to rest and recover, recuperate, and fire back up on all cylinders. And without that, we become
is so, I want to say beyond, it's like mandatory right now, especially with what's coming. Self-care is
otherwise we cannot do this. We can't manage in these frequencies.
And it could be something just as simple as, like you just said, painting your toenails. Because if it makes you feel good and it balances out your energy, yeah, that's part of self-care. And there's a lot of signs and synchronicities coming forth, especially this week. So, you know, for the people watching, pay attention, because after the supermoon in Capricorn, a lot of clarity is going to come, and you're going to be able to put those pieces that have been like this are going to go like this, and they're going to
They really are
into place. So the pieces are going to come together. You've been being given little bits and pieces here and there. We all are. I don't think anybody has really the whole picture, because so much of this is just unprecedented period, or if it's happened before, it's so old it hasn't been documented anywhere. But a lot of things.
And there's some really special changes that are coming in. The energies are going to be magical. They are transformative.
It is.
But that doesn't mean they're going to feel like softness and unicorn rainbows and sunshine. They are going to feel
Yeah.
like they are, they can be painful, they can be messy, but it's not that harshness that's in this. It's not that strip you down to your bones and make you rebuild everything. It's a lot softer. And do you know what? In the same way that we're
It's softer after the
responsible,
moon as well. The
yeah,
super, because whatever we're releasing now, after this moon, you're going to have the clarity. You're going to know what you're taking with you and what you aren't taking with you. And
yeah.
that final release is that final. And if you don't release it, you're going to be carrying it with you for another 10, 15 years. Choice is yours. And it's kind of like tough love, kind of like that mothering or fathering tough love.
And we have to do that with ourselves as well. In the same way that our healing is our responsibility, everything that we feel on the receiving end of also has to be our responsibility. When we are feeling overstretched, overburdened, overdone, depleted, it's our responsibility to attach the boundaries. It's our responsibility to not allow people to take. Because if you allow it, to them, they think it's okay. They don't know that you're depleted. They don't know that this is affecting you. And so we have to have those boundaries of self.
So let me ask you a question. Because what I've been noticing is that people are becoming more and more sensitive to energy, to certain foods. Of course, everything carries frequency, energy.
Yeah.
Everything is energy.
Literally everything.
So no matter what it is, it's energy. But people who never had food allergies are having food allergies. People who used to have them no longer have them. And look at me, like I'm eating stuff that I haven't eaten in 20 years. I'm having weird cravings like a pregnant woman. And
Yeah.
it's just, for me to eat the way
Well, look at the fruit, my fruit intake. I
right.
literally couldn't digest fruit. And now I can.
Like when you talked about turning people upside down, I had described something in the astrology that way. Like it's like being hung by your ankles and being shaken until the change. And it's not the change dropping out of your pockets, it's the change in you. It's the
And you
change.
think we've been through the spiritual washing machine. And so now they need to hang us on the line to drip dry us. We need to make sure that we are all completely done and prepared and shiny and renewed. And yeah, that can feel uncomfortable. It really can feel uncomfortable, but it can also feel amazing if we tap into the real frequency of it. There's a lot of healing in that.
It's a lot of healing, there's a lot of synchronicity, and it's kind of like, don't just listen, but actually hear. Be kind of like I want to say be the observer, but also be the observer of the self.
Yeah.
Start recognizing your own patterns because the messages are coming through. It's like reading a book, like say you're reading a romance novel. And if you read like every third word tells a totally different story. It's like reading between the lines is what we're doing right now. Because I had made mention, I think it was this morning's video, which I did last night because I had something early this morning. And I don't even remember how I worded it. Something's like, even if you see it with your own eyes, there are times in this energy right now that you can't even believe what you see with your own eyes or hear with your own ears. That there is some of that in the energy. There's still some of that moving through. But it's all of this comes down to like, where are we going? Who do you want to be? How do you get there? And we're going through this quote unquote hell where we virtually are. We're walking through fire, have walked through fire, all of us, to get to the other side. So what's on the other side? We've built the strength and the resilience because Jesus Christ, God, if you're still here, that in itself is a miracle after the last 3 years. So now you've
It really is. This is us creating our own
what's
masterpiece.
waiting for you. What's waiting for you is whatever you want to create. Stop waiting for somebody to knock on the door and go, here it is, because it's not going to happen that way. But the door is open for you to reach out and grab it and pull it in if you want it. But you
And
have
almost everyone is experiencing that. Almost everyone is experiencing that in some way, shape, or form. I tell you what, I do very, very few readings anymore that are ever just about someone's job or home or anything else. That there's always a lot more complex energy that is going on around people. You could probably say you would read maybe 20% of your readings would be base level readings. What was happening with my work, what's happening with my relationship, what's happening with my house, blah, blah, blah. All of those things. Then you'd have somebody that was so far advanced, you had to step upon your tippy toes to try and reach them on the level that they were on to be able to relate to them. But now the energies are all equal, they're all level, they're all balanced. It doesn't matter if someone's up or if they're on a base level, the energy connection is the same point. It's that humanistic connection.
it's everything
And, you know,
is firing like this.
exactly. All of those little tiny pieces. And I love that about the grid being lit up all around the world now, is that all of us are tiny little magnetic jigsaw pieces. And we are all we're all in beautiful alignment with everybody else's little jigsaw pieces. So what somebody else on the other side of the world does affects your balance is beautiful.
It's funny because you and I didn't have that conversation, but on Monday I said to someone else, I said, I can actually see the pieces being put together. I can see the pic. I can see part of the picture. I can't see the whole because they never give us the whole picture, but I can see the pieces being slid into place. And I think it was like 3 or 4 months ago, I said to you, like I had this lucid dream where it was the globe and someone had a giant pencil and all I could see was a hand with a giant pencil with an eraser and the lines were being erased off of the globe. And when I say lines, I mean the borders of countries. There were no borders. It was just,
well, no, that would be lovely.
it was just like one continent, then another continent, then another continent. But there were just no borders between the land. Where you didn't need a passport or a visa to cross. And that came through. So, and that really, like, you know how certain things really stick out for you. Then there's that one with the Nimashishi with the woman with the arrow. And like, I finally got clarity on that. That took like 3 or 4 years where I finally found some information on that, where I Googled, I mean, asked everyone I knew in the Native American community and everything. And then one day it just appeared. You know what? You know when it appeared? When I wasn't looking for it.
As always, it will
I was
be.
looking for something else and it popped right up. It was like, oh, okay, well, now that you're not, you know, just trying to stick your nose where it doesn't belong in the timeline that it doesn't belong in, we'll just give you what you need. And
Exactly.
and
we're seeing lots of different things. I mean, what I saw yesterday, I was sitting with my guides and they just drew me a picture of a table. And I thought, okay, am I meant to invite people around for dinner or something? You know, what's going on? Then they filled it with all of this color. And I'd had a conversation with someone and she said to me, I feel like life just keeps giving me lemons. And so today I put a post up and I created a post saying when life gives you lemons. And I've probably got the picture of it here still. But it was literally, the message was, when life gives you lemons, create your own masterpiece. Because that is the cue to create your own masterpiece. When life gives you lemons, you make lemon posset. You make lemon meringue. You make lemonade. You make sardines with sliced lemon on. If you like sardines, you put together a banquet made out of all of the lemon things. And this was the one. That was what they showed me this morning. This is what they gave me yesterday. I don't know if you can see that properly or not.
Yeah.
And so that was what they showed me, the message was, and so that was what I created to share on all of our groups. And the lady who said life had just kept giving her lemons, I forwarded that on to her. Hello, my darling. And she said, well, that just made me cry. And I said, do you realise how many things those lemons are representing for you?
Yeah. Lemons are
You've
so
seen it as bitter, you've seen it as sour, but you've forgotten all of the beautiful things that you've got. And it was a lesson in gratitude. It was nothing to do with lemons. The lemons were the metaphor. It was the vessel of the metaphor. But the message was gratitude, transformation and gratitude. When we're grateful, we get to create a whole new masterpiece. We get to decide what we want our picture to be. And that's why I believe none of us can see how things will be, because we haven't decided yet. We are still drawing, and we haven't even begun to decide what canvas we're going to use.
Right.
But when we do, the chances are it's not going to be us and us only drawing it. It's going to be a whole collective collaboration of beautiful pieces that make up this amazing piece of art. And that's the masterpiece. And so we are mastering. Hello, my darling. There's both of the kids now. Sunny, come down.
Too, with the lady with the lemons.
Come on then, come and say hello to Aunt Robin.
Lemons absorb negative energy.
They are.
So they
And lemons
suck
will.
the toxins out. So like I would have seen that as a cleansing for her or a healing for her. So
And she did. She actually sliced the lemons and put them on a bedside table, because it's just a little trick. If you just slice a lemon and you put a little bit of sea salt in the middle and just put that in the room that you're sleeping in, if you've been absorbing a lot of stress, the lemon will take the stress from your aura. And
Okay.
you can do the same with olives in the room as well, but olives can just, you know, like stay in the carpet.
I knew citrus, lemons,
Putting olives in the corner of each room, and you just let the stones of the olives absorb everything. The fruit will dry out really, really quickly. You can do it with an onion as well, but it's not going to make the room smell great. So lemons are a much, much better way of doing it.
My room is like dirty armpits.
I think it's Leslie, isn't it, that actually carries the lemon around with her. And when she knows, I'm sure it was Leslie.
Probably is. Sounds like something she would do.
I'm sure it
All
is.
over
And
my
she actually put a
house.
recipe up the other day for a beautiful cleaning solution made out of all the pits and peels that she got left over. And I said, yeah, I'm going to use that one. I will. Because if I clean my oven, I will use a lemon and toothpaste. And it makes the most fantastic cleaner to get rid of all of the grease and all of the gunk without using any chemicals. One of the best oven cleaners I've ever found. Okay. Lemon and toothpaste. Who would have thought that?
Before we wrap up, we've been on I actually don't know how long we've been on. I think it's been 2 hours. I don't remember what time we started. No lie.
It is about 2 hours.
I might have to edit this and actually make 2 videos out of it. I might do that. I might just edit it and make 2 videos out of it. But let's talk a little bit more about the Holistic Mystic membership group, because we've put a lot of work into that. Well, in the beginning, I put a lot in because you had something going on in your life and I needed something to keep me busy. I needed something.
But we always knew it would flip and flop.
Exactly. And now I'm in the middle of something that I need to take care of in my life, and you've been picked. So, but I feel like it's balanced. Like we've balanced.
It always is.
I still
put
you still do your daily reading. And there's, unlike other membership groups that I've been a part of in the past, one of us or both of us posts in there every single day.
And the beauty is, because you're in the US and I'm in the UK, we're on different time zones.
Right.
So if you can't get me because it's really late at night, you will be able to get Robbin most of the time. And that's the beauty of how that works. But our creative dynamic, our joint flow, we overlap with lots of the things that we do, but we work very differently. And I would say when we do readings, when we are doing our sit down sessions with client readings, there are similarities in the way that we work, but we still work with different mediums, different tools, different guides, different perspectives. And so if Robbin does a live and then she's posted that and I've gone and put a live up, you will still get two different lots of information, even though there's going to be an overlap. And so what we're doing is,
we don't talk ahead of time, so we don't know what the other one is doing. Sometimes, like I'll put a video up and your video will pop up like almost simultaneously, or vice versa. You put it up and I'm doing one, and then I just post it before I've seen yours, and then I think, oh shit, like. But it is.
I mean, at the moment we have got
a little different flavor.
How many guides have we actually got on there? Because we decided that we would put guides in so that it's like a filing cabinet. People can go into the filing cabinet and they can look at the drawer and they can see what's in that drawer and they can pull out what they need from it.
Whatever they want at any time can be accessed.
We've got everything from angels forgiveness, spells, intuition, crystals, numerology, all different kinds of everything, but there will be a daily update. There will be our reading of some kind. We've got some of our group members who have already come, they have already come to realize that they can be comfortable enough in saying, can you pull me a card because I need you to? Right. There isn't that, can I approach them or can I not? I don't want to sound, there isn't any of that goes on in our group. This is like a school, it's a family group, it's a gathering. And so everybody comes and gets their chair at the table and we sit together.
And unlike other membership groups, we give them the freedom to post or share or make a video at any time, unsupervised. We obviously get a notification that something's been placed in our group. We go in, we watch it, whatever. We give complete and total freedom as long as it is not offensive or hurtful to anyone else. And we have never had one issue, not one. We have such an amazing group of women that are kind and loving and respectful. And, if one person is going through it, the others gather around, and, it literally is a true circle.
It really is.
And not because it's our group, but for a donation of 22 pounds a month or 23, 24 US dollars. I'm sorry, I've paid way more for courses that had 1/3 of the information.
Completely. And with that as well, it's not just the information, we will be doing at least once a month, we will be doing either a Zoom or this is where we can have a gathering. Do you want to come on and take some cards? Do you want a mini reading? Do you want to come and share this healing session? We'll do a meditation. We said initially we would do that once a month. It's turned into more like once a week that we do that kind of thing, just because it's fun and we want to be involved with that energy group. But there are
gratitude challenge. We
did the gratitude challenge, which was beautiful. I love that. We're going to be doing the self-care challenge as well in that container. And the beauty of this is because it's a safe container, you can be vulnerable, you can be your authentic self, bare. You will see, unfortunately, you and me with our hair scraped up in our pajamas with no makeup on from time to time. You'll get that with me, definitely, because if I'm at the other end of the day, you're lucky if I've even put a brush through my hair since the morning.
Just
so you get
to see me with makeup.
Which, to be fair, across any of the platforms is how you get us anyway, because what you see is always what you get. But there are people in there that are massively advanced. There are people in there that are far more advanced in their way of gazing or spell casting or tarot reading or whatever else than I would see myself. And I don't see them as above or below in the same way that I would never expect them to see me in the same way. We work with tarot, you work with tarot, I work with tarot. We read it in different ways. I work with the angels a lot. That's one of my main streams of work is I'm an angel
I
worker.
always say Tracy's your angel girl. That's
And I work with angel cards and messages, but I also work with angels direct with the energy. And so sometimes I will work with completely different energies and entities, deities, and we are going into that in a lot more detail as well. The healing, if you were to book a healing session with me, usually I would charge £50 for the healing session. If you're in the group, for included in your £22 a month, there will be a healing session that you can come and participate in.
right.
If you were to have your astrology chart done by Robbin, what would you usually be charging for that if somebody was to come to you privately?
It's with the exchange in the it's actually cheaper in the UK than it would be for the United States because of the exchange.
Because that's a complex process. That's a lot of work that you put into
It's actually a complex question because I work off of donation based on what people can afford, which I get yelled at on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So the average price in the United States for an astrology reading is between $125 and $150, unless you're doing somebody who's really well known. I mean, there are people that charge up to $500. I would never do that. I would if I
you know what, we get the same deal with readings as well.
I just don't believe in that. I mean, for the people that do it and get it, and fine. Me, just as I'm very Aboriginal. It's just not me to do that.
Every person that's been celebrity or famous I've ever worked with has been charged the exact same price as any one of the people who lives around the neighborhood.
Exactly.
They will never have a different price.
Right.
Sometimes they will, if somebody is in a different bracket financially, they will choose to make a donation because I support an animal charity locally. And I also support other charities as well. All animal charities. I support all animal charities.
Right. And sometimes
I'll make them, but I would never ever charge somebody more based on who they were or anything else.
No, I don't. But I will sometimes make an exchange. Like maybe somebody will be teaching a course that I want to take.
Yeah.
Or, some kind of something that they make, like a piece of art or something like that. And I'll be like, okay, well, I really like that. How much is that? And okay, well, let's just make an exchange. Like I've done that many, many times because
same, you and me both.
Difference if they give me the money and I buy it, or if we just make the exchange. I'm still.
And I actually love doing exchanges. I really do. I love exchanges. I love pay it forwards.
Exactly. And then sometimes I'll even take that exchange and gift it to someone else. I don't even really want it for myself. I want it for someone else for a gift.
Exactly.
I love the energy of playing it forward. I do love the energy of being able to pay my bills as well. So this is the
thing, because obviously on a material level, on an earthly level, we do still all have bills to pay, and this is why we have to charge something.
Right.
But when we were coming up with the price and we said, well, what would you get for that? And we probably average out to give people about £250 worth of what we would do separately, and information and courses, lessons, workshops, sessions for the £22 a month. Mm-hmm. And the money is the token exchange. It's the energy exchange. And so within the group, of course, if somebody has a session, I'm still going to charge for a normal session, although I discount for people that are in the group in the same way that we all choose to in doing whatever else. If I'm selling something from the gallery, because that's the other thing, is I've got the gallery with art pieces, digital art, and I make lots of jewelry and things like that, and little fiddly craft things. So I do things like these little car charms that you put up on the rear view mirror. And I absolutely love those. And when they sparkle and they catch the light, I love seeing those.
I thought you had put that one in the mail and sent it to me. I like that one.
I just love these. Honestly, my car is always got things there up on my window.
Tracy and I both have a feather thing. We both love feathers, anything with feathers.
We do. And I mean,
Anything
I'm
that
part magpie.
sparkles.
Anything that sparkles, I'm enjoy. If I go into a crystal shop, I'm there for at least 3 hours. Sonny and Anna just lay on the crystal shop floor because they know I'm going to be a while.
Forgot to tell
So
you,
we do all
I
of
got my
that.
box
So,
with all my hats.
oh, you go, your hats. I
And my
love a
hats
hat.
and
I
my
do.
boots.
I love a hat.
Now I'm okay. Now I'm home. I have my hats, my boots, so I'm good. But there is a lot in the membership, and I think that people would definitely be shocked and surprised at what is in there. And I'm going to start calling it a school. I don't care if you get mad at me or
It
not.
is.
It's a school. It is a school, and we need to eventually transition it over as a school.
And it probably will
It's
become, and
grown
in the
more.
same way,
It's grown way
both of them,
more than we thought it would,
yeah.
as far as the information that we put in there. We thought, oh, we'll just do this little thing, never realizing that it was turning into a university is basically what it's turned into. Like, it should be the
Yeah.
holistic mystic university of wisdom and knowledge. It's really what it should
And
be.
we both now have our certifications as ministers, so we can hold the service and we can do lots of other things if and when it's needed. And
We can
that's
even
something
marry.
else
I
that
could even marry you. You can marry people.
I know. I know. I don't have those same privileges in the UK in the same way that you do there in the States. And so I can perform a blessing, a hand fasting, or a civil ceremony or marriage, but only in certain counties with permission.
Now
It's not
I have to be licensed in the United
recognized
States.
everywhere at the moment here.
So I can't do it everywhere in the United States. I can do it in the states that I'm certified in, which is where I used to live and where I
Yeah.
live now. So yeah, that is
That'll be something else that I do over the time because I thought about doing some registrar work. And at the moment, I don't have enough of me to go down that road at the moment.
I don't have
It's
enough
something
to
I
bring
might do it when I grow up, Robin. I might do it when I get to be an adult, when I get to be a grown up, I might do that.
So when we
But
grow
at the
up,
moment,
60, I'm still not
but we go
grow
into
up.
a year being younger, we reconnect with our inner child. And so, yeah,
Your
there's all
children.
these things that we do. And when you ask me what do, I completely forgot that I'm an angel facilitator. I completely forgot that I work with angel healing, that I forgot that I work with sacred geometry. I forgot that I work with the alchemy. I forgot.
Do you know that when I unpacked and found my certificates, I forgot half of the stuff that I'm certified in?
Yeah.
It's all because, like you said, well, in the past it was insurance. And in all the years, Tracy, how many people have asked for your certifications? I think I've had one, possibly two
Yeah.
people ask me to see that I was a certified intuitive, that somebody put electrodes on my brain and my brain lights up like, whatever,
Yeah.
like the 4th of July, unlike a normal person. But there's nothing normal about any of us, and that's what makes us normal.
Of course it is. We are all perfectly normally abnormal. And it's the same as we're perfectly imperfectly perfect. And there's always that reflection there. But what we have is truly unique because between us and between everybody else in the group, because we have got some amazing, amazing workers in there.
And girls, what I find really fascinating is one girl in particular who is just not now, but when she first came to the group, she was totally lost, totally clueless. And we both read her energy like, oh my God, like she is someone you do not want to cross her and her energy because she could just blow you right off the planet. And she was literally naive, very sweet, very genuine.
And so powerful, like a rocket launch, and had no idea.
Like so powerful beyond words. And to watch her grow and expand and just start stepping into her power and using it with, I want to say force, but with grace, using it in a positive way, not not in that egotistical, oh, I got my shit,
Exactly.
I'm, whatever, I'm all that. Because we all, you know, I surprised the shit out of myself the other day. When I first moved here, I was sitting here and I had opened the screen like this. It was a nice day, but it was still cold, but it had been nice that day. And I opened the door and it looked like, I thought it was raining. I know I told you this, Trace. It looked like it was raining, and I thought, well, maybe it's the screen, because the screen does, I don't know if it shows on camera, but it does, block a
Hmm.
little. So I opened the door and I stuck my hand out like this. Okay. And the sun wasn't shining. It was overcast. And my hand totally disappeared. I had put my
Yeah.
hand to a portal and freaked myself the fuck out. And I went just like this, whoop, like really, really quick. And I'm like, oh, my fingers are still there. And when I told
And
someone,
I'm laughing at you because I was walking in the park a couple of weeks ago and walked through one,
yeah,
and literally the colors, and it was like a gyroscope rolling through in all different colors and patterns. And I managed to stand there and video it.
if there's
And
no
I actually said,
podcast,
I hope this translates on video. I hope this picks up on video, because oh my God, the colors were everywhere. It was amazing.
if there's no
And
podcast
I couldn't see
next week,
myself.
there's no podcast next week. One of us or both of us are all
We've fallen into a
we've
portal.
been committed somewhere. But I will never forget that day. My hand went, because it was like fuzzy, like years ago before cable, like when the stations would close down and you would,
Yeah.
it was kind of like that. And I'm like, well, but it looks like it's raining, but why don't I feel any water? And then when I looked at my hand, I'm like, oh my God, because my hand's not there. Like, of course,
So super intense. Yeah.
really, 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 like, that's what I'm saying, like how we can still surprise ourselves. We're still surprised at things that we know are happening
Yeah.
and can occur.
I'm always in awe of spirit. I am always in total awe
I'm
of
in all
things.
of everything.
But
I'm just
I'm like that child who is blinded by amazement. Is like the
I got
magic
a
of it.
divorce, or I'd be in the loony bin right now.
They wouldn't accept us. They'd kick us out because they couldn't cope with the style, and it would be fine.
No, we'd take all the crazy people, make them normal, and we'd start a war or something.
This
Like
is very true. The rebellion would begin.
it would begin. Okay,
But in the
so
middle of all of that chaos, I mean, I still have private practice at home. I am online. Virtually all of my work is now online. So I do day to day, my work is readings, it's healing sessions, readings and healing sessions. I do the quantum frequency work. I have the Healy. I get people on the success coaching program. And so that's another tool in the toolbox as well, is that little quantum frequency device. When I found the success coaching app, I was like opening Pandora's box to me. It was full of magic and incredible things. And I have a few clients who don't have any real interest in spiritual things or readings, but they have had blocks in their business or they've had blocks in their careers. They've come in and they've bought a 30-day success coach program. I send those frequencies every single day, 3 times every single day for the 30 days. Sometimes I will send extra if it's in my mind to do it, but it's always a minimum of 3 times a day.
now,
And 9 times out of 10, they have seen a shift within the first week. And so that unblocking is something altogether magical.
I couldn't live
Now,
without Healy.
oh my
Right now,
goodness.
I'm
I mean,
embarrassed.
I have my my Heelys are running 24/7. They are my best friends.
The
Sometimes the
coherence is
technical
great,
glitches
but
and they're having to reinstall and whatever else, it can be annoying. But what it can do, we can't even say. And that is where I get really annoyed with it, to be fair, because through having to watch what we say, it can do, it can't do this, you get to a point when we have mouths like ours, where we just speak as we find, and when we just have words fall out, you want to scream from the rooftops what it can do for you. We can share experiences. So I can tell anybody publicly, as I do, The reason that I am now a Healy device distributor and I sell Healy devices to other people to come into, sometimes I do it as a business, sometimes just to get well, because before I got mine, I couldn't walk properly. I had endometriosis that was crippling me. My bladder, bowel, and womb were pretty much stuck in one great big mess. I was under a gastroenterologist. I was under a gynecologist. I was under a spinal surgeon because I had 3 herniated discs and I'd got bulging discs as well. And I'd got peripheral neuropathy. Couldn't feel my toes. Couldn't feel 2 of my fingers. My shoulder wouldn't lift. I would get dizzy. I couldn't sleep. I felt constantly nauseous. I couldn't put one foot in front of the other because the material from my disc was touching the nerves where it had leaked out. And the surgeon told me, you will not be able to manage this for more than another couple of months without surgery. In between my next visit to him, I had come into my first contact with a spirit surgeon, who I then trained under the hands of. And I got myself my Healy device and I started to use it every day. And I literally recorded all of the programs that I was using. You're meant to use it between 2 and 3 times a day. I overdosed because I'm like that. And I used it on 7 or 8 programs every day, at least. I completely over frequented myself. But within 3 months, and I was also under therapists, I was in CBT therapy and counseling.
You also can hold a more than average person.
We can, because our energy
Way more energy, right?
vibrate.
For somebody who's never done it before, I wouldn't recommend that because
No.
Really,
but that's what I'm saying. That was my choice to do that. I wanted to see what it would do for me. And within the 3 months, I was discharged from the gynecologist. I was discharged. The endometriosis was no longer sticking my womb and my bowel. I had passed endometriosis scarring, which the gynecologist surgeon said was impossible, but I explained to him what I was doing and he went, send me all the information about it. I need to research this.
Yeah.
And I did.
Shared it with my acupuncturist when I had to go, when I was in so much pain from my ruptured disc. And she was interested in it, but the other doctors practice.
One of the doctors said to me, scientifically, we can understand it, but medically we can't accept it.
It's a class 2 medical device in the USA, which means it's FDA cleared for use, but it's not, they haven't researched enough to, it falls into the same category as like a TENS unit in the US, but it does
absolutely.
Does so much more. It does so much more, and we have.
I mean, the one for me, the magical moment for me was when I had my next MRI with the spinal consultant, and he said to me, "That isn't actually possible. A disc can't repair itself."
Trace, this was
like
before I knew you well. We had met through a mutual friend through Healy.
Yeah.
And you and I got to know each other. I had lesions on my liver from my lupus. They're gone.
Yeah.
And
but if we were to say Healy can do this, we would not be allowed to talk about anything.
I'm not saying it
from personal. This is what we found our experience to be.
Exactly. I'm not saying it did. I'm not saying it did. I'm saying that a week before Christmas that year, I got a phone call from my doctor to come into the office that she wanted to see me in person. Now, I just had that testing done. I didn't have the results. I go in, she sits me down in the chair, and I'm thinking, for Christ's sake, what now? What the fuck now?
Yeah.
She said, I want to know what you're doing, what you have changed in your life. She said, we have never seen results like this. All my lesions were gone, and I had a huge cyst on one of my kidneys, which was, I didn't even know I had. An intuitive picked it up and said to me, oh, and by the way, did you know, are you aware, have your kidneys checked? I believe you have and I checked with my doctor, and here it showed up on the scan.
Yeah.
That also gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you, I was going through severe anxiety and panic attacks. I could barely walk. I was having seizures, extremely low blood pressure, to the point that I was passing out, not on a daily basis, 2 and 3 times a day, walking with basically like a cane, or very unsteady without one, or with, at the time I had a trained service dog that was trained for me that I lost.
Yeah.
I could barely function. So yeah,
And you know, the mental side of it, the mental health side of it is something else completely. You know, I had literally suffered with anxiety, depression, all of those things since I was in my teens. And within 2 months of having my Healy, I'd gone from having, on a bad day, 10 panic attacks in a day. I basically had a day where I had moments without panic rather than moments of panic.
which for somebody that goes through that on a regular basis, that is miraculous on its own.
Yeah. And I'd gone from that. 2 of my therapists discharged me, and one of them, I actually check in with her every now and again just to say hi, she's beautiful. And she said to me, I've got to show you this, and I've got a screenshot somewhere. And she said, Tracey, you do not class as somebody who has any sign of clinical depression or anxiety anymore. You score as somebody that has nothing wrong in that area anymore.
Well, the thing with the anxiety, depression, illness, it's a vicious circle. Because if you start out with physical symptoms of illness, then you start getting into anxiety and panic because you don't know what's causing it. More than likely, it's something more on a subconscious level than on a physical level, right?
And you know what? It's this again,
How do you feel the vicious cycle? How do you stop the vicious cycle?
Yeah.
And the Healy works at a cellular level.
Absolutely. The Healy increases the cell voltage. Basically, what happens is that the mitochondria, it is there on the edge of the cells, the mitochondria, like the power producing little crowns, the little grabby bits. Then you've got a chemical that is all around your body, adenosine triphosphate. And adenosine triphosphate is the fuel in your body that your body uses to be a body. So everything from blinking your eyes to raising your hand to having your hair grow, your fingernails grow, needs that hormone, that chemical. So the Healy, when it increases the cell voltage, and if you think, we'll use that again, if you think about these as cell plants, we've got between 50 and 70 trillion of those in our bodies. And we're 70% water, frequencies run through water. And so we're basically like complicated, sophisticated, walking cucumbers crossed with rocks with a higher consciousness. And those cells,
good analogy.
You know, I'm visual.
Really
so
is
when we've
analogy.
got those cells, if one of those little plants of that cells is damaged or disrupted, its voltage decreases from 70 all the way down to 15. Boom. That cell then tells that cell, this is what we should be now vibrating at. So the other cells go boom, boom. It's like switching off lights on the circuit board. And so the more ill we get, the more our cells translate something's wrong, shut down, shut down, shut down, shut down. The Healy sends in the voltage, sends the cell voltage up. You can't increase the cell voltage too much because when we have had enough, it just pours out of us. Basically, we don't. It's like filling a glass. When we fill the glass with water, after the point where it's full, the water comes out of the glass. That's exactly the same as the frequencies work with the.
Right.
The other thing is as the cells increase in their voltage and the repair starts, all of those tissues, muscles, vessels, everything else can begin to be told by the cells, by the messages that the brain's firing off, we need to repair now, we need to repair. We don't need to shut down anymore, we need to repair.
Right.
That's where the magic happens.
Like
because we go into a state of repair, and that repair accelerates more repair and more repair. So we don't just strengthen what was wrong, we get even stronger than we were before. And that can work in the same way with absolutely anything. Then we've got the delivery of the remote frequencies. Now, those are slightly different because it's the bioenergetic field, it's the auric field that responds to those frequencies, not the cells in the same way that the microcurrents deliver. But when our biofield responds to those frequencies, it's like having a super boost of healing. And so if we've got a blockage that is there on the heart chakra, so hypothetically, if someone's got a blockage on the heart chakra, they could be experiencing aches and pains around the chest, the thoracic spine, the beginning of the cervical spine, arms, shoulders, everything to do with heart, lungs. We can feel tightness, we can get heart palpitations, we can be unable to appreciate or absorb or accept love. We've got lots of different dysfunctions, and at its advanced point, we can develop problems with the physical, heart, lungs, all of those things as well. But by removing the blockage, we begin to repair. And so I've seen people that have been working on that. And again, this isn't Healy can fix, I'm not making any claims, but I've worked with a client who has got different cancerous tumours and cells in her lungs. And she has seen massive reduction on her scans. Now, I wish I could put that on the site. I wish dearly I could use that testimony, but she can share her experience. I can't say this is that fixed it, that'll happen. But the more and more people that are sharing their experiences, and there are tens of thousands of people who are sharing their experiences, all of those people have got one thing in common. They were at points where they felt like they were broken, or that their bodies weren't working, or that something was misfunctioning before they got their Healy, and then they saw change. So those experiences can be really extreme.
Let's put it this way. When Healy first came out, it was very, very expensive. And none of us could really afford it. And I think everyone that I know that I'm close to pretty much maxed out a credit card to buy one.
Absolutely. That was how I got mine. I maxed out my credit card.
But the point I'm trying to make is that's how desperate we were.
Yeah.
To find some kind of relief or some kind of healing, just to be able to function and do normal everyday things like tie our shoes, because we were in so much pain we couldn't. I remember
I couldn't lift my foot off from the ground when I was sitting down. I couldn't lift my knee up.
Not being able to do this, right? Just little things that people take for granted that now we can do. So, and right
I
now,
remember cutting something
running
in the kitchen. I cut the top of my finger because I couldn't feel it. I had no feeling in the top of my fingers because of the neuropathy. And so I cut myself, and I didn't realize I cut myself until I saw the blood. Yeah, that was how much I was lacking in the feeling. But we see all of those kinds of things. And do you know what? I weighed up the cost of that against what it was costing me to remain ill financially.
For
so
me,
I think at the time when I bought my resonance Healy, and I bought it, I think it was 1,800 because I got it on the special, I got it on a promotion. And at that point in time, I was spending £50 a week on an osteopath, £50 a week on a chiropractor. I was in counselling. I was losing clients because I was having such severe panic attacks. I would be throwing up and I was having to cancel work. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't function. I mean, I've always been a naturally happy fat girl, but I had lost so much weight that I looked like I was on the verge of becoming anorexic. I looked like a lollipop head because I couldn't keep anything in my body. And I was in such a high anxiety state that I was burning off fuel like nitrous, but in a bad way. And so that, it was a complete transformation. It really was. And that allowed me to be able to take control in all of the other areas of my life. And so that change was so extreme with me, because I then immediately got so passionate about what it could do that other people going, well, what did they put you on? What medication have you been on? It's like, nothing, it's been my Healy. I want one of those. And so that's how I began it as a business. The other thing, what was it? I've just totally lost my train of thought, as always.
I
But
balanced it
we
out
see all of that.
by medicine. What I was
Yeah.
spending in medicine every month was almost 3 times what the
You
monthly
were getting through a
on-
shocking
on the
amount.
Healy was. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was saving money in the long run by taking the chance, the risk with Healy. And when I first got my Healy, if you remember, my wires were missing, and it was before we had the portable.
That's it. Yeah, we didn't have the coils or anything,
Didn't have
because
the
now
coils.
we have this
That's
gadget that we just plug in, and that works in the same way that Tesla technology, the coils work. It bounces the energy into the field.
well, it is
But
all
we were reliant on wristbands or ear clips, which they decided, because you were American, you weren't responsible enough to have
we're
things
too
that fit onto
stupid in
your
the
ear.
United States to have the ear clips, because
Which
apparently
made me laugh so
themselves.
much, because my sense of humor. I immediately went, so they can carry a gun, but they can't put ear clips on their earlobes. What?
Yes,
Seriously?
yes, 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 and yes.
That did. It made me laugh so much.
I do have
But
a pair of ear
I mean,
clips. I'm not going to say you didn't send them to me. Somebody else sent them to me. So
yeah.
I
And
do have
now, of
them,
course,
but
there's payment plans.
you
Now
have
you
to
can
remember
pay
to
by
take your.
PayPal,
Do remember to take your earrings out, or you will burn yourself, which is probably
and to
what
always dip the pads in water, because I burnt my earlobes very successfully by not following the actual instructions. Say, always make sure that you put the ear pads in water. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Oh, so we do all of that. And
you're not supposed to just look at the pictures.
no, I know, but I was in such a rush. You know what I'm like? I'm the queen of impatience. And so, I've seen massive transformation, not just in my life, but in so many people's lives who have used that. And now they do payment plans as well. So whereas at one point you had to find it all up front, now there's certain ways that you can pay for it, which makes it a lot more accessible. And now there's the mag Healy as well. The mag Healy works in the whole area, the whole building that you're in. So you can set this little device, and it can change the frequency of the water that is there in the house. It can change the frequency of the elements there. It's all very, when I first heard about it, it was very Star Trek-y sci-fi, and I just went, not even going to pretend to understand it. And half of it I don't even have a clue about, because there's so many technical advances every month with Healy. And I don't have time to keep up with it. I haven't gone into the training that's further. But if you wanted to, oh my goodness, yeah. And it's quantum energy. Everything is energy. At the end of the day, everything has a frequency, and everything is energy. Every thought, every frequency, every pain, every tree, every molecule has energy and a frequency.
I always said this about Healy. I don't know how it works. I just know that it works. Now,
absolutely,
if you don't believe that you have an electric current going through your body, then think about it this way. If you're having a heart attack or a stroke and your heart stops, what do? They put the paddles on you. And what goes through those paddles? Electricity, frequency, an electric current. So your body does carry an electrical frequency. Okay. Yeah. I know that the human cells carry a negative frequency. And I know that when you turn on Healy, it takes whatever.
Your circuit board lights up.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I had to catch my wording there. Because there are things we're not allowed to say, or we can't be associated with Healy. But because of, the FDA laws in the United States, our our laws are a little more stringent than yours when it comes to Healy. So like I said, in the US, it's considered in the same category as a TENS unit. However, I find that I've used both, and the Healy far outperforms the TENS unit. So,
So
yeah.
that's another thing that we
But I
bring
just go
into
everywhere. I
the
had no idea what we were doing today, and I do it wrong. But this is a great.
There's another thing that is in the
No,
group. We haven't yet
it's
put
like
a guide
everything.
about Healy in there, but that's something that's accessible.
But everything we do, we say spirit, we say God, we say whatever. And with Healy, like, I might not be able to be a scientist and tell you exactly how it works, but I can tell you that I'm living proof that I wouldn't be functioning now without that product, and that if there wasn't some kind of higher power, I wouldn't be able to be so accurate with my readings, and you wouldn't
No.
either. But people go, I don't know how you do it, but can you tell me how? No, I can't tell you how I do
You
it.
just do it in the same way that Healy just works.
Yeah,
It
I
just
can't
works.
tell you what I said 5 minutes ago. I'll have to watch this video to see if I have to even delete something. One of us or both of us might have said that isn't in coherence with coherence.
Yeah.
By the way, that is a good program to be running with the astrology right now, coherent, and that soul program.
It's a beautiful
Oh my
program.
God, that
Really
soul
is.
program. I want to say the soul program saved my life. Like, I was
Yeah.
suicidal at Christmas. Like,
That
seriously.
was the way I was with the gold cycles programs. And those are amazing.
Those are the heart of the Healy. I mean,
They are.
and the
That's
specialized program.
144,000 combined frequencies into those programs. And each one of those is specifically, it's used, and that is the basis of everything else. It's the building blocks after that. All of the other programs are like the icing on the cake. But the gold frequencies for me are just, yeah.
You can't hurt yourself, because whatever your body doesn't need, it releases. It's like vitamins, you
Yeah.
know. If whatever vitamins your body needs, it absorbs, and whatever it doesn't, it just passes through your body. And it's the same thing with the Healy, with the frequency. And it will also,
What's so incredible about it.
you and I can both run the same program at the same time at, say, 30 or 40%. Okay, whatever we need. Okay. But your line and my line might be two different colors, because you might need more of one frequency than I do, or vice versa. So when the line turns black, it means that it's still transmitting, but our body is not lacking in that area. So our body is not absorbing that frequency. And that's the beautiful thing about it, and it still freaks me out and on how it scans your body.
It's
And
amazing, isn't it? Honestly, absolutely amazing.
from the quantum field, like, how amazing.
And if anyone wants to know anything else about Healy, or wants a demo about how it works,
Contact Tracey. No, contact Tracey. She could explain it.
Just pop a comment under so we know, and feel free to message. Just feel free to drop a private message.
Want to join membership, please, drop a message or contact either one of us through Messenger. That is a wealth of information. That is something that it's a really good time. It's a really good price. And when I say time, I mean because of all of the changes mentally, physically, emotionally in our bodies, but what's going on in the world. I mean, I would like to pretend that I know what's going on in the world, but I don't watch the news, because
You and me both.
You're super sensitive. You can't handle, like, I have somebody else, I'll go, well, what's going on? And they'll be like, you don't really want to know, because it's just going to set you off. I'm like, okay, I trust you. Okay, then I don't need to know that. And most of the time I'll feel in the underlying energy anyway. And I'll be like, God, why am I walking around feeling like not the other shoe, but like the other boot is going to drop? You know what I mean? Like, there's a big difference in weight between a boot and a sneaker, so we feel it anyway. But there's so much, whether you're a beginner or you're advanced, there is something for everyone in there. And age is doesn't even come into play. Age is not a factor, because
Not at all.
I've seen 20-year-olds that far exceed me, and I've seen 60-year-olds, 80s, a woman that's almost 80 years old that just floors me, or maybe a 75.
I have seen an
with no knowledge.
84-year-old woman with her first ever deck of tarot cards.
Yeah,
And she was absolutely loving it because she was brought up to believe that they were tools of evil. And so
yes.
she
Everything we do is
just she always wanted them. She always wanted a pack of tarot cards. And we got her a packet of tarot cards. And there she was, beginning her tarot journey at 84 years old. It was absolutely beautiful to watch.
amazing.
And there has been some 17-year-olds who have got the knowledge and wisdom of the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And it literally, yeah, it's ageless. There is nothing. But I am going to have to love and leave everybody because I should have gone about 15 minutes ago and I always get carried away with timing. But it has been so lovely. And thank you for inviting me on. And thank you for having
Thank
me
you for
today.
coming on. And just one thing, if there's one message that you would give everyone right now, what would that one piece of advice be, or what would that one message be? And
Stay in your heart truth. Stay in your heart truth. Be completely you. This is the energy of self-love, self-care, self-appreciation, self-awareness, boundaries of self, limitations of self, agreement with self, respect of self.
communication with self.
Absolutely. Stand in your heart truth. Don't let anyone or anything push you out of your heart truth. Be completely, authentically you. That is my advice. That's my message to anyone in this energy.
And thank you so much for your time. We've been trying to do this for like 3 or 4 months.
We have been trying to do this for a shocking amount of time.
I want to say it feels like a year. Thank you. I love you.
You are so welcome, my darling. Love you so much.
Soon.
Really are my big sister, and I will speak to you in a little while.
My baby girl. Love you.
Take care, everybody.
Hey, everyone, remember to like and share. And we look forward to seeing you again. And that was the beautiful Tracey Gonzalez. So you can find her on Facebook under Tracey Gonzalez. You can find her at the Holistic Mystic. You can find her at the Gonzalez Gallery. You can find her under Trace the Reader. And don't forget about the Holistic Mystic One-Stop Membership Group, which we will be turning into a school soon. And I just want to thank everyone who stayed till the end. I'm probably going to make this a 2-part series. We did not expect it to be this long. And thank you all for everything, for tuning in, for following, for supporting me, Tracey, Shirley, and everyone that works with us. And I want to say a big shout out to Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer, and I can't wait to meet up with you soon. And thank you, everyone. And thank you to the members of our group for making it easy for us to be able to give what we give and to share what we share. And for making it the group easy to maintain, that we don't have to babysit you, that everyone is so genuinely kind and authentic. And we just love you, and just take care. There's some hard energies coming up over the weekend. So stay blessed. And if you need help, remember to reach out. Lots of love.